All right, welcome everybody. I'm super excited to be talking to you all today. This has been an awesome event that Jared and team have put on here, and I'm excited to be a part of it. I'm going to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart today, and I think probably to most of yours, which is revenue and driving revenue and making sure that we're all hitting our goals as we head into the fourth quarter. Some of us in the very teeth of the fourth quarter, some of us looking at ending our years in January. But we're all trying to drive revenue. And so some tips and tricks here on driving revenue through the end of the year. And if you stick around until the very end of this, which I promise it's going to go fast, I have a promotional freebie which should help you drive revenue. So stick around for that. I'll explain it at the end. Today, really, I want to talk about why software is getting harder and harder to sell. And more importantly, what can we do about it? As a CRO at Tackle, we work with only software companies, and we help our customers drive revenue by leveraging cloud marketplaces and cloud as a channel to market. So we see not only our own sales cycles, but the sales cycles of our customers, and we know it's getting harder and harder. So I want to talk about that, and then what you can do in terms of looking at ways to attach to cloud budgets, creative things to do, tips, tricks, and things that we can help hopefully move the needle for you in Q4 and have some significant momentum going into next year and beyond. So that's what we're going to be going through today. Again, in my time as CRO at Tackle, I started here when we were about 5 people overall. We're about 300 today. We help sellers sell. And what I've seen across even our own sales cycles is that software is getting more and more difficult to sell these days. In fact, over the past 2 years, 75% of buyers say that their cycles have increased. And I think we've all seen it. We've all felt it. Kind of started with COVID, and the economy really hasn't helped out much either. And so today, when you see sort of even more buying by committee and more inspection, to me, man, it doesn't matter if it's a $15,000 deal or a $500,000 deal. They seem like they're all getting the same level of scrutiny. And I think, everybody is going through reevaluating, did we budget for this? Yes, we did. Do we still need it? What's the value proposition? Some of those things, they don't change. Everybody has to be really super crisp and clear on what their value prop is and being able to sell to that and to prove it. But really, more often than not, we see that things are only getting harder, even when you do that job, to just get somebody to pull the trigger and buy your software once you've actually gone through the hard work of selling. And that's really, I think the dollars are becoming harder and harder to get at. Again, even where we've had situations where people have budget, they were planning to buy this year, all of a sudden, whoops, that budget shrunk. Well, crap, what happens then? What's your plan? What's the backup plan to go find the dollars? Because I guarantee you, in all organizations, the dollars exist to get deals done. A lot of times it's about finding out how can I go find those deals? And how can I maybe find a different budget to attach to? Having that skill, not every salesperson has the skill to do it. Like, hey, I'm really good at selling my tool, but now I got to figure out, how do I get bought? So it's not enough anymore to just sell your software. You really have to be cognizant of what's the easiest way for my customer to buy my stuff, right? So that is a really critical thing to know how to do. Well, intriguingly, where are budget dollars going? Budget dollars are going to the cloud. If you look at the way the cloud has grown over the past couple of years, this year alone, $90 billion in cloud spend. The dollars are being dedicated, no matter who you're selling to, they're all spending money with AWS and GCP and Azure and Red Hat, and they're spending dollars with their large cloud providers. And that has just been continuing to grow. So that's a budget that isn't shrinking. Dollars are going there. That cloud budget means efficiency in a lot of cases, right? And so we also see that a lot of enterprise software buyers, because of this, they're getting creative about how they're doing their cloud deals. So moving to cloud, it's an initiative for everybody. I don't care who you're selling to. They're talking about moving to cloud. How are they transforming their business? How are they lowering their costs? Things of that nature. And no matter who you're talking to, they have people dedicating their organization to go figure out, how do we more quickly go to cloud? Well, in doing that, cloud means a lot of things. It doesn't just mean moving your data center. Today, it really means, hey, I can simplify a lot of my purchasing by going through one provider. What if I could buy a large percentage of my software through AWS? I'm already doing a bunch of other business there, right? Why don't I source my software there? That's one throat to choke for your customer. And so what we see is 50% of enterprise software buyers have committed spend to spend with at least one of the major cloud providers. Again, AWS, GCP, Azure. They're saying, hey, we're going to spend 10 million, 100 million, 200 million over the next 3 years. We're going to commit to that. 40% have had these types of arrangements in place for greater than a year, which means they're getting better at how do I use these dollars I've dedicated to cloud. Well, cloud actually can unlock the procurement of your software. You can sell your software through these cloud providers, land on an existing cloud bill, and all of a sudden you're tapping into that budget. So, like I said, we work with now over 500 software companies are Tackle customers, and Tackle has helped our customers get into these cloud marketplaces, help them work on their cloud go-to-market motion, and so you can have results that are pretty impressive when you run this right. And so, if you can speak cloud and understand how to navigate these cloud ecosystems, and if you can effectively understand how your buyers buy, the results that our customers are having are pretty incredible. So you take a look at somebody like a Snowflake who drove half of their revenue in their fourth quarter almost, $700 million through cloud providers, cloud procured software. That's amazing, right? Serious dollars are being spent there. George Kurtz, who's the CEO of CrowdStrike. They're an amazing story. They've grown their revenue to like stratospheric levels in a very short amount of time at CrowdStrike. And why? One key reason, it cuts down their sales cycle by 50%. You're landing on an existing bill. You can cut down some of the vendor management overhead. You can cut down some of the machinery that slows down a sales cycle, and you can tap into that budget. It's helping them move their deals 50% faster. As a CRO, this makes me super happy, right? I want my deals to go faster, especially today. Time kills all deals, and you got to get those deals done quickly. So if this procurement channel works better for you and faster for you, I'm going to use it, right? And these providers really are. Seek has grown within 2 years to drive all of their ARR, 20% of all of their ARR through marketplaces. So this is just a predominant motion that, frankly, 5 years ago didn't exist like this. So really, how do you get there? I told you this was going to kind of be a speed through this, and I want to get to the meat of like, okay, fine, this is great, Don. What does all this mean? So to take it a step back again, you have these large hyperscaler providers and the cloud providers. They are doing business with your customers. Your customers are dedicating a ton of budget to go spend with them, and they can source software through these marketplaces that these cloud providers have. By sourcing software, through these marketplaces, you have the ability to attach to a budget that otherwise wasn't available to you. Now, all of a sudden, you can tap into a cloud budget. What we found is cloud budgets are really ill-defined. They're not allocated to the penny for just infrastructure spend. That's one kind of common misconception is like, well, infrastructure controls that budget. Not anymore. We see the office of the CIO, we see strategic sourcing and procurement really owning, hey, we want to fulfill through the cloud. They want to spend more money with the cloud because their economics just get better and better when they do that. So pro tip number one, and something that a lot of salespeople don't like to do is, talk to procurement, talk to strategic sourcing early. You can partner with your cloud provider friends to help you get these introductions and figure out, hey, who are you guys selling to over there at AWS in my account, right? And partner with them to kind of direct your efforts on who do I go talk to figure out, do you have committed spend? Enterprise Discount Plan, EDP, is the committed spend program with AWS. Enterprise agreements with Microsoft or Google Cloud Commit. You need to find out if your prospect has these in place. I'm going to tell you how Tackle can help you do that in a few minutes, but you can work with your cloud provider, figure out, do you have an agreement in place there? If so, you should make sure that your buyer knows, hey, your organization holds dollars with AWS, and you can go get our software there. And just by us landing on your bill, we might be able to take advantage of that budget. As a seller, that's a pretty cool thing to be able to share with your buyer. because now you might have unlocked a different avenue, a new path to them getting a deal done where maybe their budget was a little bit constrained. So I'm a big fan of understanding as early on in the process as possible, how do you buy software? Who are your, who are your strategic partnerships with cloud providers? Make sure your sales reps are asking those questions, and then they can start to dig in and find out these answers. I'd say, one pattern here is, you ask the wrong person the wrong question. If you ask your prospect and you're selling information security tools like, hey, do you have an EDP with AWS? They might not know. So you might have to do some digging around within the organization. And again, that's where your cloud partners are there to really help you out and help you navigate those organizations so you can sell together. So that's kind of pro tip number one: engage early, find out who owns this, right? Number two, registering these opportunities with your cloud partner. So, man, in this world, like the yesterday world was VARs and distribution, and sign up as many VARs as you want, and they're going to all go sell your stuff. And once you registered an opportunity with a VAR, like that was theirs. Well, this isn't that world, right? When you register an opportunity with a cloud provider, you're letting them know, hey, we're working with this customer with this opportunity. We want to work on it with you. Let's collaborate. But you're not dedicated to doing that deal through the cloud. And so you want to, really register as many opportunities as you can where there's signal that your buyer has a relationship there. And you want to explore that together and figure out, is this the best path for my buyer? Your buyer is always going to lead at the end of the day what works best for them. And as a software seller, I think what you want to be able to do is present as many buying options as possible so that you don't run into that brick wall at the end of the day. So this is a really good way of showing the signal back to your cloud partner. Hey, I've registered this opportunity. I'm in there. You're in there. Let's collaborate and talk, right? And let's learn who I should be talking to. Again, if I'm selling an information security solution to the CISO, or VP of IT security, maybe I don't know who holds the AWS purse strings within my buyer's organization. So collaborate with that field rep to learn how, when you do the transaction, if you do the transaction through the cloud, that rep gets paid as well. So there's a great relationship there that you can build. The first step is really registering those opportunities and starting to collaborate and figure out, where do I target these conversations to get the most bang out of them, right? Pro tip number three, and this one has really come on strong as of late. And I'll say maybe some of the finance people, when they first hear this route, bristle a little bit. Or your CRO even, we can be a little protective of like, wait a minute, am I giving away more dollars than I need to here? So when we talk about renewing a customer through the cloud who has originally maybe contracted with you directly, we can get a little bit of pause, a little bit of feedback, like, wait, why would we do that? One real good reason to do this is if you look at your customers who are at risk in the fourth quarter, I would really recommend, you work with your customer success team, your renewals and expansions teams, whoever handles that renewal motion for you, figure out, who are my at-risk customers and why are they at risk? And if budget is a reason they're at risk, they want to stick with you, but they can't. Their budget got cut. They want to expand with you, but they can't. This is a really good time to take a look at, well, what if we could do this transaction through your cloud partner where more budget exists? Would you be able to stay with us? Just by having us land on your cloud bill and be able to maybe find some budget in a place you didn't know existed. This kind of diving save motion has worked out really well for a lot of Tackle's customers to help cut down on that churn risk. And then the flip side of that coin is then, hey, some of those customers actually wanted to also expand. And now that they've got a different budget to tap into, they can actually do that expansion. Some of these customers, when you make a cloud commit, just a fast tutorial, like these dollars that you commit to, you need to spend them. And you're getting discounts because you committed to spend that much money with these cloud providers. So especially at the fourth quarter here, we're really at a point in time where the people you're selling to are probably coming to the end of their commit periods and they need to sign a new commit so they could budget for your software in that new commit, or they need to burn down their cloud budget that or their cloud dollars that they committed to spend. So it's not such a fairy tale here to think like, oh my gosh, maybe I could go find some budget because these guys got to spend. And then when they need to spend, oftentimes it's more advantageous for them to do a multi-year deal. So maybe all of a sudden you go from, I was going to churn this customer to, hey, cool, we just got a 3-year deal out of it, right? And they actually grew it. We've seen those things happen, quite a bit over the years, but now especially as deals are slowing down and budgets are drying up or kind of being hoarded and things like that, we see this as a really great motion to go after. So I'm going to open it up for Q&A here in a second. I know, like I wanted to have some time to interact with the audience here and talk about it further. I think there's a lot of things that go into building a successful cloud go-to-market motion, but it doesn't mean that you can't take advantage of things pretty quickly. So if you're already in marketplace today, these are things that you can hop on right now. If your company isn't selling through one of these cloud marketplaces just yet, there is still ample opportunity for you to explore cloud go-to-market motion and get your software listed on one of these marketplaces before the end of the year, and take advantage of some of this year-end budget flush and commitment meeting commitments and things like that. So there's still time in the year to do it. Typically, to get into one of these cloud marketplaces, it involves your alliances folks, your sales teams, things like that. And so just to know, if you're not there, you can get there. There's still time. And as well, I think there's several ways that if you are there, but maybe not leveraging the channel as well as you could, these are some of the plays that we might be able to help you out with. So I'm going to pause there real quickly, see if we have some questions for me to kind of to speed through. I see there's kind of a bunch that have been streaming in, so I'm going to take a look here for questions. So one of the questions that Jared asked is, how do you make registering less of a pain in the ass? And registering with these cloud providers, they each have their own systems for registering your deals, and then you got to track and manage that. Which again, number one, working with your partner at the specific clouds, you partner development manager at each one of these cloud providers to understand best how to navigate their system. Frankly, this is one of the reasons that Tackle has a company, is that we make doing these things easier for our customers. And so, we have tools that allow our customers to much more easily navigate these types of registration and registration management challenges. So it's definitely something that one recommendation is, make sure that you have somebody in your channel team, your partnership team, your alliances team who works directly with each one of the cloud providers. It does take some investment and some horsepower on your side to work with the cloud providers, but there is tooling available outside of the marketplaces that makes this registration and opportunity tracking and management easier. So those types of things are absolutely available. Kind of laughing at some of Jared's comments there in the window. Anyone else? Any questions that we can answer before I kind of get on to how we might be able to help you in the last couple of months here? I teased a promo offer, but curious as to any other questions we might have spurred here during the session. Cool. How much that's a good question, Carl. Thanks. So SMBs, how much do they work in these marketplaces? And we've seen actually, more and more from the SMBs. I'd say, marketplace is there's a variety of options for how you engage with your customer. A lot of times, one of the key things to determine is, who is your customer base and who are you selling to? What's your ICP? For some software, your ICP is if you're a developer, if you're somebody who's working, with AWS tooling or GCP tooling or the cloud team or things you're selling to those teams, like they're used to being, on these marketplaces, searching around and looking for software. That's not the predominant motion of how software gets bought through these marketplaces historically. A lot of the deals that get done on these marketplaces are custom. So you create a custom deal for your buyer and you're fulfilling it through the cloud. So your sales cycle looks kind of just like a direct sales cycle would look right up until you get to the point of how are you going to buy this? And you fulfill it through the cloud. Those are done through, what are called private offers or private plans, which is a custom deal specific to that customer. You can put discount in it, things like that. The other way to engage with customers is if you have software that is more self-service feature and your audience is likely to be spending time in the AWS, GCP, Azure ecosystems, there are a lot of self-service options for listing your software, directing buyers, doing marketing campaigns to meet them where they're already at, where their eyeballs are at, which is, in these cloud marketplaces, looking around for solutions like yours. So I think depending on what you sell and depending on who your buyer is, you can have that sort of try and buy or click to buy experience. And a lot of the SMB teams that you sell to may be doing that depending on what your product is. But we're seeing cloud uptake across kind of all sizes of organization. And my main recommendation would be weave this into your qualification, into your SDR talk track. Start talking to your buyers about where their cloud partnerships are and how they prefer to buy software, and learn a little bit. And you may find the signal is, hey, AWS keeps on coming up, Microsoft keeps coming up, Google, whoever keeps coming up. I keep track of those things because we do see smaller software or companies that are pointed at the SMB marketplace, or SMB ideal customer profiles, can do well. It's about leveraging this more. You're really thinking about who are you selling to and where might they be spending their money. And the dollars are kind of flowing to cloud from all different angles. So really, really good question there. Cool. Just scrolling through a few more of these other ones. Awesome. Well, really appreciate the interaction here. This can be, marketplaces can definitely be a tricky ecosystem to leverage. But I'd also leave you with, marketplaces are, we think, a source of great disruption for traditional, partner-led motions. They can also embrace a partner ecosystem, and each cloud is getting a little bit better and better about, what does it mean to embrace your traditional partner community and marketplace when your buyer prefers to do both. We see a lot of revenue still coming from traditional channels. So that also can be a motion, again, when you talk to your buyer about how they want to buy. Maybe they've parked their cloud spend with SHI, but they still need to buy software, through AWS, and they want to buy partner plus, marketplace and things like that. That can be a really mystifying process to navigate as well. And one of those things where Tackle tends to help out our customers quite a bit. One last question, sorry. Which role adopts marketplaces more often, sales or marketing? And I'm wondering if adopts marketplaces really means like takes ownership for the marketplace relationship. I'm not 100% sure on the intent of the question there, but yes. So who's it fall under? Falls under, like, we will advocate all day long. First and foremost, like, this is a go-to-market motion. Your revenue team, CRO, VP of sales, they should be looking at what are all my routes to wallets, and cloud is a huge route to wallet. And so you should have at the top of the food chain, marketplace should always be revenue driven. It is going to be owned in most organizations by alliances and partnerships and channels. And they're going to develop the relationships with each one of the cloud providers. You have the opportunity to really embed how you work together with these cloud providers. And the more your software uses cloud software, the more integration you have there, the more interesting you are to them. And so driving those partnerships at both a business level and a technical level becomes really important. So at the revenue level, you want your CRO and the revenue side of the house really plugged into how we're going to leverage marketplace. Alliances is typically going to own it, and then you'll have input. Marketing becomes key to great. How do we want to leverage this channel? What do we want to do together with the cloud? Because you plus cloud is definitely what is going to make a better story at the end of the day. And so our marketing team, for example, works with all the cloud providers, make sure we're doing joint stories together and wins together, make sure the cloud providers know what we do and how we do it, and they get it in front of the right eyeballs internally. You're doing a lot of internal marketing within the cloud providers. Again, I think typically your alliances team is going to orchestrate who needs to be doing the working with which pieces of the cloud provider. So that's where the relationship is really owned. But there's really something for everybody to do. And sales is really activating your sales team. Incredibly important, right? They need to know what this channel is. They don't have to be experts in how it works. They need to know how to have the conversation up front about where the value prop is. So great questions. I'll leave it on a takeaway of Tackle does leverage a great new tool we just released called Tackle Prospect. We will score your pipeline and let you know who in your pipeline we've seen and is highly likely to be purchasing through each one of these marketplaces. So think about taking that list of at-risk customers, scanning them, and figuring out, hey, whose scores high for buying through AWS, and then going back to those customers and saying, hey, what if you could buy us on AWS? Things like that. So we use a combination of the visibility of our data that we have and some proprietary predictive algorithms to generate a score that will tell you each one of those prospects' likelihood to purchase through each one of those given marketplaces. So hit us up. Let us know, get hello@Tackle, and we can help you take advantage of that promotion. It's entirely free and can help you drive some revenue, as we promised at the beginning of this, as you go into Q4 and try to close it out. So really appreciate all the interaction here, all the questions. I hope you guys got a lot out of the session. You can find Tackle on LinkedIn or Twitter. You can find me, again, Don Addington. I'm happy to talk to any of you and your teams about how to better leverage marketplace to drive great revenue. So thanks again for the time. Really enjoyed the session today.